Apakah arti senyummu, widuri, elok bagai rembulan, oh sayang, widuri, indah bagai lukisan.
accompanied by the University Management Committee. Please rise. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us sing together the national anthem, Negaraku. Thank you. Please be seated. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds, and blessing be on our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family and his companions. Honorable Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of the International Islamic University, Malaysia, Honorable Puan Sri Datin Masrah Abidin, respected University Management Committee members, Honorable former Rector of IIUM, Deans, Directors, Senior Officials and staff of the Gombak and Pagoh campus, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and a very good morning to all. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Before we go further, I would like to respectfully inform on behalf of the Darul Hikmah Library that we are saddened by the news of the demise of our staff, Brother Amiruddin Abdul Hamid, yesterday evening. May Allah will grant him manifold blessing and forgiveness, and that Allah will include his soul as those who are deserving of his clemency and rewards in Al-Jannah. Let us take a while to recite Al-Fatiha for Allah Yarham Amiruddin. Al-Fatiha. Honorable Rector, brothers and sisters, in order to invoke the blessing of the Almighty, please allow me to start the program this morning by inviting Al-Fadil Ustaz Zaki Abdul Ghani from IIUM Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Mosque Centris to recite Surah An-Nahl from verse 90 to 95. فليتفضل مأجورا.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وأوفوا بعهد الله إذا عاهدتم ولا تنقضوا الأيمان بعد توكيدها وقد جعلتم الله عليكم كفيلا إن الله يعلم ما تفعلون. ولا تكونوا كالتي نقضت غزلها من بعد قوة أنكاثا تتخذون أيمانكم دخلا بينكم أن تكون أمة هي أربى من أمة إنما يبلوكم الله به وليبينن لكم يوم القيامة ما كنتم فيه تختلفون ولو شاء الله لجعلكم أمة واحدة ولكن يضل من يشاء ويهدي من يشاء ولتسألن عما كنتم تعملون ولا تتخذوا أيمانكم دخلا بينكم فتزل قدم بعد ثبوتها وتذوقوا السوء بما صددتم عن سبيل الله ولكم عذاب عظيم ولا تشتروا بعهد الله ثمنا قليلا إنما عند الله هو خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Sadaqallahul Azim. Shukran jazilan Ustaz Zaki for the beautiful recitation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone, and I am sure all of us are happy and excited to be gathered today for our first Al-LIQA Al Jamaie for the year 2020. It is customary, the first gathering of the year is a celebration of sort of our achievements in the preceding year, 2019, as well as looking forward to achieving greater heights in 2020, inshallah. Our beloved university has reached milestones and achieved success for the year 2019 as a result of everybody's hard work and coming together as one strong team. For that, I would like to welcome all to enjoy video presentation on IIUM 2019 success story and IIUM flagship videos.
I remember calling all of us to work together as a family, not as staff or students of the university. We want to create a larger family where we can share all the things that we have done together in the name I think the time is here now to share this. The response is overwhelmingly positive. In fact, we have a very open discussion on how to move the university forward.
I can see that Kuliah of Engineering can contribute in many ways towards community services.
That's why I call up all the academic staff as well as the non-academic staff to listen directly from him and to understand.
I see a lot of ideas where we can really implement those things in terms of the strategy.
So that we can actually implement projects. These projects will actually be those which are also be benefiting the community.
We need all the element, in terms of the spiritual and also physical.
I can see also that the staff of the Kuliah is basically also excited because of what he has mentioned. It seems that it's also in line with what we have been doing.
In the 2 years, what I think is possible is basically to get a recognition from the United Nations University that this university is worthy of what they call the regional centers of expertise on education, but for a different purpose, for sustainable development. We are trying to aspire to be the regional centers of expertise for sustainable development, recognized by no less United Nations University, hopefully by the middle of next year.
Students Representative Council.
Consensus statement on the IIUM Roadmap 2019-2020, dated Friday, 26 March 2019. So that is a solemn undertaken on behalf of all of us, and I'd like to thank you. Alhamdulillah.
Congratulations and thank you to all the individuals who have contributed to the success of IIUM through their relentless hard work and dedication. We are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for it is with His blessings and mercy that we have gathered here today to celebrate the success that IIUM has achieved in the year of 2019. We look forward to more success this year, and with the support from all of us, we will be able to realize our tagline, leading the way, Khalifa, Amanah, Iqra, and Rahmatal lil Alamin, inshallah. We will not forget in our happiness, we also had our fair share of sadness, for we have lost a few dear friends last year. May Allah forgive them and grant their souls peace and comfort in paradise. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now without further ado, I would like to respectfully invite Honorable Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of IIUM, to deliver his speech. Please welcome.
Thank you, Brother Johari. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalam syafil anbiya salin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Brothers and sisters, colleagues, I'm indeed very honored to be with you again for the third time, I think, sharing some of the things that we've been doing together for the last 18 months or so. I still remember I was here August 27, 2018, meeting you for the first time and trying to persuade some of you to be on a journey to bring this university forward. And after 18 months, alhamdulillah, we've seen some of the successes that we've brought to bear, and I think most of this comes from all of you. And I'm here to report to you what we have done and how we need to move forward in the year 2020. I'm indeed very humbled and very honored to be part of this university, mostly by coincidence rather than anything else. But I still believe there is the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have us to work together in a university that is really outstandingly different from all the other universities I've been through, and has a lot more promises than I think we can count on. So we need to work very hard, and as you have seen, the kind of presentation is just a very cursory way of telling you where we have been and how we have made the university to be the way we want it to be. This year's presentation is going to be quite simple. I'm not going to make lengthy speeches. I think most of them has been made. We are trying to connect all the dots that we have been trying to put together for the last 2 years, and how else we can move on in the year 2020. Today again, alhamdulillah, is a very auspicious day in the sense of this is the 20th of January in the year 2020. 2020 all the way. And I would like to contextualize this meeting today is what we call celebrating IIUM 2020. 2020 is supposed to be an auspicious occasion for Malaysia, but somehow or rather it doesn't work that way. But for IIUM, 2020 is still an auspicious occasion, and I would like to remember that by announcing a kind of a logo that we have created among ourselves, particularly from OCAP and OSIC, working on what we call the 2020 IIUM 2020 logo, and that's how it looks like. It's a three-dimensional design with the word IIUM in gold, which is our color, and the year 2020 below it. Turquoise is our color. Blue apparently is a color for the year 2020. So the year 2020 is something that I want us to remember by, because I think this is a turning point as far as university is concerned, and indeed as far as education is concerned worldwide. I will talk to you a little bit more about what 2020 is all about moving forward as far as education is concerned. So those are some of the meaning of this design that we've got, IIUM 2020. It talks about these letters, IIUM 2020, as I mentioned to you, moving beyond 2020. The color is a color of the university, the color of the year, which is dark blue. And there is also this, what we call, the shading that seems to move upwards. In other words, we are going into a kind of a trajectory, and the open book is almost like the Quran that we have right in front of us as far as the roundabout is concerned. So there's a lot of meaning to it, and I hope you will keep in mind that this is something that we need to push forward so that the university can move on. So I will now begin with my little report to you as far as IIUM is concerned. How do I do this? I'll talk to you on 5 things. One is what I call IIUM is becoming. And the reason for this is because United Nations is going to launch another pillar of learning called learning to become. And therefore, how do IIUM integrate its own mission with this mission of UNESCO, which is learning to become? And with the learning to become, there is this word that is in the Falsafah Pendidikan Kebangsaan, the word sejahtera, which now seems to be taken up by many parts of this university. We have now a Sejahtera Center for Sustainability in Humanity. There are other ventures also using the word sejahtera in many ways, and we will try to contextualize this in the context of IIUMs to become. In the earlier slides, I think Professor Kamal Hassan, in one of the events, I think this is the officiating of the library, mentioned very casually, he said the rector is taking us to Mars. And I was just scratching my head, how do I do that? And I quickly translate that Mars into making a rousing start. And I think making a rousing start is where we want to actually begin, by telling you what we have done, what is possible, and how do you move forward. And for this, I think there is a very young colleagues of ours who will tell you in 3 minutes what are the rousing start that we have made in another video. The more challenging part of this is how to capture new data and new impact, not just the KPIs. I've mentioned many times that we are not using the KPI per se, but there's a downside to it. When I say we don't use KPI, suddenly somebody said, oh, we don't have to work now because there's no KPI. I think that's not the way I want to interpret it. No KPIs means you are more empowered. You have been given a lot more creativity to decide how do you want your work to be evaluated. It's not going to be a top-down process. It's going to be a bottom-up process. We want to engage you with a lot more discussion of how we want to value your work and how you want us to look at your work to be valued. KPI may be one, but there may be numerous other ways of trying to appreciate what your work is all about in the context of successes of IIUM. We're struggling for the last 1.5 months, 1.5 years, to see how best we can present it in a more holistic way, so that it's not just looking at numbers, but also aspirations, but also other dimensions that is quite important as far as education is concerned. And the last part, of course, is how do we move from here, given the successes we've made, big and small. Yeah, Alhamdulillah, beginning this year, 7 January, we were recognized with the Al-Khawarizmi Excellence Award for Education. And I think that's a hallmark in itself, because we didn't apply for this. It was given to us, it was nominated, and we went to take the prize from Duli Yang Maha Mulia Sultan Nazrin on that particular occasion. So how do you sustain it and how do you move forward is the last part that I'll be dealing with you. So let's begin with IIUM is becoming. Now, I was asked to write a piece for The Edge on what education looks like in the year 2020 and beyond, and I use this cliche from United Nations or UNESCO, learning to become, as part of my theme. But I started this discussion by citing this youngster. Then she was 16 years old, Greta Thunberg. I'm sure you know and you have read about her, a 16-year-old girl who sat in front of the Parliament of Sweden and said, I will not go to school until you can assure me of my future. He says, school has no meaning if you cannot assure me on my future. So every Friday, she sat in front of the Parliament to make her protests heard. And suddenly, we have got this movement called Fridays for Futures. And millions of youngsters of her age join and say, yes, tell us what is our future and where you are going to work on as far as delivering this future for us. And that begin a kind of a movement, not only involving the youngsters now, but also other elderlies, including world leaders. Tomorrow, she'll be talking to world leaders at the World Economic Forum in Davos at the age of 17. This is the power of the youngsters. These are the people who want us to recognize them, to understand their aspiration, to understand how they view the world. Not in my generation, perhaps some of your generation, we view the world quite differently, and therefore, how do we engage this group of people? And this learning to become, as far as UNESCO is concerned, comes out from a larger document, Futures of Learning. The Futures of Learning were written by a number of scholars around the world, I think about 30 of them, that gives various dimensions of what education looks like in the future. And some of it is beyond imagination. The word spirituality, the word consciousness, the word intuitions are brought in some of these chapters. And therefore, we are required, and in fact, we are invited to discuss and to debate about it, because in June this year in Berlin, there'll be a worldwide discussion on World Education Forum to crystallize some of these ideas so that we begin to understand what education is in the year 2020 and beyond. I thought this is a tremendous opportunity for all of us, particularly in the Muslim countries and in the Muslim university, to make ourselves heard. Most of the time, some of this discussion, some of the policies that were crafted somewhere in the West, we are not even a party to. And here is an opportunity for us to actually come up with our idea of what education should be and how Islamic worldview being embedded into this education of the future, which is part of the universal values of education. We do not want to be on the sideline. We do not want to be only on the periphery. We do not want to be bystanders. We want to be an active player. And in my 18 months here, I know we can be an active player if you go through by some of the things that I have read and I'm going to present it to you today. So people like Greta Thunberg, I don't think it's a coincidence that she's a female, has taken the task to represent her generation, and I think we want to see Greta Thunberg also from the Muslim community. When I was in Kerala about a month ago, when Prime Minister Modi was introducing the Citizen Amendment Act, in Kerala, the protests were led by ladies, not men. And in fact, one of the daughters of the colleagues in the university was also cited in The Guardian as the voice of protest as far as Kerala is concerned. So there are many opportunities for us to actually present ourselves in many of these issues that actually is not an advantage to us, and in fact, otherwise, in this particular respect. So when we talk about IIUM is to become, I want to remind you is one of the pillars of philosophy that we talked about in trying to shape what IIUM is all about. We talked about the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan. We talked about Maqasid Asyariah. We talked also about the UNESCO 4 pillars of learning for the 21st century. And the 4 pillars of learning is learning to do, learning to know, learning to be, and learning to live together. And I think beginning next week, you will have another one, learning to become. And learning to become, as I've mentioned, is part and parcel of a document called The Futures of Education, Learning to Become. And it says here, it is about reimagining how knowledge and learning can shape the future of humanity and the planet. These are words that is very compatible, at least to me, when we talk about education in the context of humanity, not just an individual person or an individual institution or an individual community or a nation. We want to talk about in the context of Rahmatan lil Alamin as part and parcel of our song, and this is about putting education and knowledge in that particular context. We have to reimagine what it is all about, and for us that reimagination is not going to be difficult because we have got our own perspective as far as Islam is concerned, and that perspective has not been in the mainstream of education as far as the West is concerned, and we are supposed to do the change as far as this, as far as education for the future is concerned. So here we are. We talk about humanizing education, yeah, and hope this is what making a rousing start is all about. Maybe moving to Mars, and I don't know whether you are quite familiar. There's a small rocket somewhere there, and the white stuff. Yeah, that is symbolically the vehicle that will take us to Mars. And I will elaborate a little bit on that. How do you make this vehicle operational as far as moving our agenda forward, inshallah? So the learning to become now is being debated. It is almost a green field. Nobody knows exactly what it is. We are almost at a level 0 that everybody can now give their opinion about what learning to become is all about. And certainly, we Muslims are always becoming. We are not being as such because we are always ascending, moving up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. And that is the context that I hope we can take this on and try to interpret what learning to become is all about at the end of the day as far as education for the future. I'm going to show something which I normally do not do, but this is just to give you where IIUM is all about. In this book called The Futures of Education, as I told you, these are multi-authored. Most of them are from the UNESCO chair, and if you see the word International Islamic University is part of that authorship. It's the only university that is not Western-centric. We have managed to take a berth in that particular chapter called Sustainable, a New Path of Education, and all of the things that I wrote for that chapter is what I've gathered from you for the last 18 months. In fact, there's another chapter that we are able to put in the Higher Education World Report, again, something that we have done together. In other words, IIUM has got a place, a role to play in shaping the future of education. This is no longer an imagination. We have got a footprint, and we want to make that the footprint something that will be there for a long time, and for that purpose, we need all of you to come on board. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. We miss this, and we will be missing this forever, moving beyond the year 2020. So this book, inshallah, will be released in a week's time. I was told in 27th January, where they officially inaugurate this International Year of Education, and I hope this is something that you can take to heart and try to develop even further in depth as far as education for the future is concerned. Now, we also know this. We need to make some structural changes, and these are of the structural changes that have been working for us, in terms of OCAP, trying to put as much as possible the context of advocacy. What is it we are advocating? We are advocating humanizing education, and in that particular article that I wrote in, there's a lot more feedback coming saying, we like this whole idea of humanizing education, but how do you do it? All right? We are now engaging with OSIC, which is now also being reorganized, and most of this data that I've got from today is from them. And how do you put this in a context that is well understood, well meaningful for us to move forward, to make some very credible decisions, and certainly at the end of the day, how do you shape this into a form that it becomes part and parcel of the institutional academic program and moving it forward to make a difference, as it were, as far as IIM is concerned. These three organizations are working together very closely. At the end of the day, we hope we will be able to present to you what education for the future is all about moving forward. As I've mentioned, the word sejahtera and I've been taking on, and the word sejahtera, is, to remind you again, comes from the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan that talks about at the end of the day, everybody who has gone through the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan will have what they call kesejahteraan diri. There's no way to translate this in a very detailed and precise way, but it is about wellness, it is about peacefulness, it is about tranquility. We want to create that kind of a person at the end of the day, the Muslim, a complete whole person, as it were. And for this, I think we go back to this idea of a garden of knowledge and virtue, and we mentioned the last time that this garden of knowledge and virtue must be rooted in values. And I think in the building where the office of the rector is, you can see this billboard that quotes this Surah Ibrahim 24:27 that basically talks about unless and until our roots are firmly entrenched in the ground, there is no way of assuring that the knowledge that we've got is worthy of its own. And also mentioned that if the roots are not well anchored, then the tree will just fall down. So I think when we talk about sejahtera, this is a value system that we talked about, and the value system is basically anchored on our maqasid al-sharia. I think we have discussed this, and we have come into terms of how the humanizing education, taking on the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan, then elaborated on the 5 elements of maqasid al-sharia, which is part and parcel of the building blocks for visioning IIUM moving forward. Now, that alone perhaps is not good enough. Yeah? We want to anchor it, and how do we anchor it? Again, this is something that you are used to. From this, we go on into the vision and the mission of the university, internationalization, integration, Islamization, and comprehensive excellence. Yeah? And from there, I think we built this sustainable development goal where it's a platform for everybody to share what they know in the context of the flagship. So this is just a summary. All the flagship, all the sustainable development goals, the 17 of them, has been taken up by one or more kuliahs, and some of them has been working tremendously well, and this is where the 3 world first that we're going to announce today, inshallah, as part and parcel of moving forward. Yeah? Not only that, I think I need to give credit to the administrators who were not there initially when we launched it. They came in on board quite later, but they have adapted into this very, very quickly, and I'm very proud to see how they actually interpreted the whole thing that we have talked about. I think this is one of the slides that really amazes me of how they are able to manage putting the elements of the falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan together with the 4 pillars of learning and maqasid al-sharia, and finally the overarching goal of the sustainable development goal, the 5 of them, the 5 P's of people, planet, prosperity, partnership, and peace. In other words, many of us have been talking about this, have been working on it, have been interpreting it to make sense as far as we're concerned, as part and parcel of the strategy for us to move forward. Yeah? And this group of administrators now has got on its own 17 projects, whereas we have got 29 flagship programs. Administrators alone has got 17 projects which are actively working. We will see what are the some of the benefits of this. Yeah? As we talked about working together, I just want to remind you this tetrahedron model that we are still working on, but the basic of this is quite clear. It is about human and social transformation. Until and unless all the things that we worked about benefited the human being and the social structures, then I think it is not fully appreciated in that particular sense. How do you translate knowledge for the betterment of humankind and the community is the ultimate goal as far as humanizing education is concerned. Of course, we recognize there are the sciences. Of course, we also recognize there are the technology, and all of this, I think, needs to work together into a complete whole as far as what we call the convergence of knowledge is concerned. Yeah? Question of spirituality and so on and so forth. Now, again, this model has been taken up by the administrators in their own project, and I want to share with you how they actually reinterpret the tetrahedron model into their own in the context of moving a shared platform in one of their projects that works with the garden and also, beautifying workplaces and so on and so forth. What I'm trying to say, basically, some of these elements could now be assimilated in the thinking of learning to become. How do you bring this to bear as far as the new philosophy of learning to become? Because most of these ideas are basically there, how do you assemble it and making it more comprehensive to the other people who are trying to understand this, right? So that's basically what learning to become is all about, and how do you take the structures that we have created in the last 18 months to assemble it, to make it more meaning, to give it more universal values, and also to advocate it around the world, particularly when we meet in Berlin in June this year, inshallah. Now, making a rousing start is where I think this whole flagship program is all about. I just want to go through very quickly on this. This is, I think, a contribution, This is, I think, a contribution coming from OSIC. There's a video on this. Can I have the video now?
Yes.
The video or the slides? I think it's slides good. Okay. All right, I think it's slides on this one. You look at the numbers, right? 181 activities of the flagships just last year alone. But more than 3,000 students participated in some of these flagship programs coming from all of the kuliah, including some foreign students. 1,110 staff, yeah? And that's why it amazed me in some interview when I say, what about the flagship? You say, flagship? What about flagship? Some people are still not aware of the flagships. I think there are many who are participating in this, and I hope you can involve yourself more in this. About 3,000 external participants. These are our partners outside, from different NGOs, different organizations, coming also to work with us on this particular, some of the particular programs, and particularly the orang asli around Gombak and beyond. Yeah? Staff members from all kuliah centers and so on and so forth, almost 700 of them. Other organizational partners, 152. We have developed 34 courses. These will eventually be translated into academic programs, electives, and so on and so forth. And we are now trying to develop this. Some of them are presented as projects, be it at postgraduate level or undergraduate levels. Yeah? And this, again, some of the compilation that we've got, we're thinking of turning them into modules or books, one way or the other. Next. Out of this, 125 research grants has been applied, and I think a number of them has been successful, and we will talk about the figures later. Next. Sixty of them have been approved, be it in local, national, international. Next. No more. Finish. Okay. There are the other dimension, the non-numbers. Yeah. These are the one that is intangible. We are still working out how do we actually appraise this and put this as part and parcel of our contribution to the university. It is a community that we went in Kemaman, I think. Old folk homes have been staying there, some of them more than 10 years, but the kuliah of nursing, medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, allied health are all congregating to make their life better. And these are some of the patients or some of the dwellers, I might say, who stayed there without being attended to by their family most of the time. So this group of people are trying to make them happy in this particular case. Yes, next. Some of them are given a new set of dentures, yeah, from the dentistry faculty. And that's a lady, and this is how she looks after having the new dentures. She's able to smile and laugh now. Yeah? And I think these are the happiness that we give. At the end of the day, I don't know how to document this, but it is certainly worth thinking about. Yeah? Next. Free legal counseling from ICOL. Next. Again, we participated in some of the activities and tried to learn what knowledge is about as far as they are concerned. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from them in terms of wisdom and indigenous knowledge. Next. Talking to the youngsters, telling them what sustainable development is all about and how do we actually transfer this knowledge to the community and also gaining some from them. Next. There is another program that is in Moa alone, looking at just the century of that particular river that before it meets into the sea. Yes, next. We clean it. Yeah. Next. In our own effort in trying to create a zero emission carbon car, I hope we are on the way to do this. Next. Our own garden, which is now, I think, almost university-wide. As far as I can recall, there are more than 10 gardens in different parts of this university, and it becomes a preoccupation now. Some of them are reporting that the garden is very relaxing, very de-stressing, and they do this before they come to work. Next. And some of them have been harvested, and there is a particular one that is done by, was it Kesatu, is it? Yeah? They have got a number of beehives around the campus, and now they're harvesting it, and I think they have got a stall there. You can buy this for 160 outside, and you can buy this one for 130 today, I think. There's a pure honey that we grow and harvest it in our own campus as such. Next. Technology, which is a bigger challenge. I think Norbit knows about this. We'll talk about this a little bit more, but yet we are leading this in the context of blockchain and whatever else as far as new technology is concerned. Next. This is my own surprise when I go to ITD. I was looking for something technological, but the first thing they showed me is how they run a garden using the Internet of Things. Yeah? And it's something which is marvelous in the sense that we can do it almost automatically without devoting much time in looking after the garden. We're trying to spread this out and see whether this can be the mainstay as far as our gardens are concerned. Next. We created our own peace room instead of war room. Yeah? And I will elaborate a little bit more what this peace room is all about. It is about how do we congregate the data together so that we can present a more complete, meaningful data to the people outside the university. Next. These are some of the world first program. We are now trying to evaluate it before we announced it. But certainly this Patin Buah is something that our university has done where other universities around the world has failed. Yeah? These are some of the, details about it. I will not mention it to you. We will elaborate a little bit more. But initially, it's about growing this particular fish that is only available around Pahang, if I'm not mistaken, and nowhere else around the world. Next. The library is supposed to launch what they call their own cataloging about Islam. Right now, if you talk about cataloging of Islam, it's just one word or one sentence. Now, they've created 2 volumes on this. So you can go to the very detail of Islamic subject and find out what are available or what is it that you need to find out as far as the Islamic content is concerned. And we're going to launch it, inshallah, very soon on the online system. Next. And last but not least, I think you remember the last time when I spoke to you about this group of people who is very unique, very special, but now some of them has been working with us, and I would like to read some of them. Yeah? Large numbers of participants, about 150 of them working with us, particularly in Kuantan campus. We integrate Islamic and contemporary treatment together. So this is not about LGBT per se, it is not about human rights per se, it's about a discomfort with your own gender sort of identity. How do you work this out? And I think they have done this quite well. Yeah? Now, we have now hired them to work within our vicinity because one of the issues that they're facing is basically a halal income. Yeah? They've been getting their income in a very different way, so now we are trying to give them as much as possible another source of income, and I think Daya Bersih in Kuantan has been offering them this job. 6 of them went to Umrah, 1 of them went for Hajj, and 1 of them came back to Islam. I think, again, these are data that is not captured in KPI per se, but you can see the kind of meaning that we have as far as bringing these people back to the way that they should be leading as far as Islam is concerned. Yeah? So they're working on this. Again, the approach of this, I'm made to understand, is quite different from how it is approached in other parts of the world, particularly in the West. So this will be another project that we will lift up, inshallah, regionally and hopefully on a worldwide scale before the end of the year. Next. No more. Okay, let's go back. So I would want to now invite one of our colleagues, Dr. Hidayah, I think, who is going to present what we have done in 3 minutes, all the things that I've been mentioning to you in the last half an hour or so. Now, like I say, this is meant for the younger generation, and half of the time the younger generation has no time to sit down and talk about this. So we tell her, can you do this and summarize this in 3 minutes, and we're going to present this to you. Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Since 1983, International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM, has been welcoming the lives of great minds. Aiming to be the leading Islamic university in the world to achieve and uphold the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, IIUM has been working together to alleviate the quality of life, connecting our community through every possible medium that we have. Realizing the importance of sustainability in shaping the future of great civilization, IIUM has been working hard continuously, constructing numerous phases of flagship projects that are in line with all 17 SDGs. Education, environment, and community inclusiveness, these are the 29 flagship projects undertaken by the IIUM community as a part of our effort to promote SDG and contribute to the well-being of society. In just a span of 1 year, IIUM has established 29 flagship projects in 17 locations all over Malaysia. With 181 completed activities participated by 1,110 staffs, 3,097 students, and 3,386 external participants. With the outcome of our flagship projects, we also managed to successfully publish 184 notable publications. 125 research grants were applied, in which 60 of them were approved, accruing approximately 95,000 ringgit Malaysia in funding. We are proud of 3 world's first flagship projects. 1. Gender Dysphoria, Awareness, Prevention and Cure, a flagship project carried out all over Malaysia, where social and health issues caused by transgenders were addressed and catered to. 2. Patin buah as sustainable food production sources. These high-value local threatened fish are bred, preserved and studied. The success of this world-first flagship could make IIUM as the world-first center of reference of patent species for research and production. 3. ICSI is short for IIUM Library Classification System for Knowledge Resources on Islam. ICSI provides a comprehensive classification system on Islam and accommodates a wider scope of varying topics. Hopefully, 2020 will bring us more success and greater outcomes for IIUM and our flagship programs.
As a voice of the youngsters, I hope this can be taken up by many more youngsters. I think this video will be available for you to use this for advocacy work. I'm going to send this definitely to UNESCO once we do a little bit more of fine-tuning. And I think this tells a story. For the last 18 months, what are we capable of? And certainly, we are capable of a lot more. Yeah? As been mentioned, I think we have engaged 17 locations in Malaysia. And very soon, I think we are moving into the ASEAN region. A number of invitations that we've got, learning from some of the programs that we have, and they're interested. And we are now building a relationship with some of the ASEAN countries, and inshallah, beyond ASEAN after this. Yeah? So there's a lot of opportunity for us to get engaged with other people if you really want to work on a community platform all around the world. Okay, this one I think we've gone through. Let me just skip this. I think the same thing. Right. Generally, this is how it looks like. I don't know whether it's quite clear, but from the 2019 alone, yeah, we have got about 75 of the programs that we have launched is almost there, in others in completion. Some of them are within the year, within 12 months, yeah. So about the year is over, then I think 75% are almost completing their programs, yeah. If you look at it, 50% are moving, and I think there's some which is still warming up, no warming up, yeah? And the rest are still moving. So I hope the one that is still cruising will move forward so that we can capture the data as much as possible. What is tangible, this is the number of projects that we have got in terms of contribution as far as research is concerned. We have got 111 projects as per August 2019. And I've showed you this before, the amount of money that we can garner from these projects is 10.5 million. Already, I think that exceeded many of the benchmark that we have had. But I'm happy to report now that numbers has increased. In fact, we have collected more than 20 million beginning from last year. Yeah? So from August, we have got 10 million. Now we have got 20 million, and Prof. Hafiz was just telling me actually more than 20 million is about 24 million. Yeah? So I want you to realize that the moment we work together, the moment we have got ideas being shared, I think we can generate more projects, we can engage more people, we can interest more people in funding us, and this is, I think, the very clear outcome of what we are able to do within that short period of time. And I hope this will be part and parcel of the activity that we will move forward from now on. Yeah? And how do you capture the data? This is something that I was telling you. We are grappling on how to do this, but generally this is how it looks like. If you compare the numbers, which is in bracket, which is Q3 and Q4, you can see the difference. Yeah? I'm not too sure whether it's clear for you, but just let me read a little bit on this. If you talk about collaboration, we talk about project members. In Q3, we have got about 300. In Q4, we almost got 700. In other words, the numbers doubled. Yeah? In terms of external partners, I think that number stays, no change. If we talk about a policy in terms of progress, we find that 70% are moving into the excellent area. In other words, they're almost completing. 28% good, another 28% moderate, but 28% slow. So I think, again, we know which projects to monitor, which project to push, and which project actually to recognize the moment they are completed. In terms of teaching and learning, we've got 34 subjects now have been part of teaching and learning. And in terms of final year project, from 95 in Q3 to 136 in Q7, means by the end of the year. In terms of research, we applied 102 research grant, Q3, and Q4, 125. Research grant approved, 45 in Q3, 60 in Q4. Numbers of funds, called amount of funds, Q3, 95 million, Q4, 130 million. Again, the number keep on increasing over time. Yeah? Activities, you've seen this. Generally, the activities are well patronized and taken up by many sectors. In terms of publication, you have also seen this. Yeah? So these are the data that we are going to garner. It's not easy to do this because the data comes in various shapes and sizes. We need to clean it up and so on and so forth. And for that purpose, this is where the Peace Room is all about. Yeah? The Peace Room is supposed to be the one-stop center that anybody who are interested in knowing what is the latest as far as the flagship programs, all the 29 of them, plus the 17 that administrators are doing, you can get almost the latest data on that. But now we are trying to work out a mechanism where we can do this almost mechanically so that we can get a better real-time data rather than working on it manually and trying to make sense of the data. So this is what the Peace Room is all about. It's on the 4th floor of the Rector's office. It is open to everybody who actually wants to work on the projects that they are interested in or enhance it by working with other people as far as the data are concerned. Right. Now, the last part, which I think is the most important part for me, is how do you sustain this? And sustaining it, I think, becomes an issue. Otherwise, this thing will just die on the wayside if we do not sustain it well. Now, from my point of view, the first thing we need to do is to start changing the way we work. We have started changing many things, but the hierarchical nature of this university and many other universities in Malaysia is not the way to go forward. Yeah? It's a kind of a summary diagram, although it's hierarchical, but it is not actually hierarchical. There are many people who work horizontally, there are many people who work upwards, there are different ways of approaching and how to work. Sometimes it gets very confusing, sometimes it gets very frustrating, and I know some of this have been added to me. And because of that, I've been reading a little bit, and there is this new concept called holacracy rather than bureaucracy, or the hierarchical way of doing it. We are looking into this very seriously. OSIC is doing this and studying it, and see how this new structure, the holacracy structures, could be implemented in IIUM. What is so special about this, it's not hierarchical, top-down sort of a process. Each time when I meet some of you, you will come and complain to me, Tansi, there is no instruction from above. I think you need to get used to there will be no more instruction from the top. You need to make your own decision given what you know and working with the colleagues around you so that that decision becomes an important platform for all of you to work as a team rather than coming from the top alone. Of course, sometimes when we have got things to do, we will tell you what to do, but otherwise you are free to decide what is it that you want to do. So on holacracy, the whole idea is about how do you self-manage without depending on other people in the context of instruction, but working in a kind of a teamwork, not only horizontally, vertically, but also diagonally. And many of the successful industry, particularly smaller industries, have been working on this holacracy model, and I thought we should try for the first time in a university. So we're trying in one department. If it works, then we'll try to replicate it and template it for the whole university as such. Yeah? That is one exercise that we're going to do so that the speed of work will be a lot more improved and more efficient over a period of time. The second thing I've mentioned is we're doing a total academic review. With all these things that is happening, how do you integrate it into a larger academic program? This is what the KCA is trying to do. We had a meeting last week and how to approach this on a total university sort of wide program, not just within a kuliah or within a department. Yeah? We're beginning to recognize not only the tangibles, but also the intangibles at the same time, some of the things that I've showed you. How do you capture some of the data so that it becomes meaningful as far as the university is concerned in trying to spread knowledge beyond the borders of the university. For that, we are looking at two things. One is about your role as a public intellectual. How do you actually go out? And when people brand our university being quote-unquote within an Islamic narrow sort of perspective, how do you respond? Or do we just keep quiet and say, never mind, let them do what they want to do? Or do we have a role to educate them that we are not this way or that way? This is what the university is all about. So your role as a public intellectual, writing in not just academic journals, will be something that we are looking forward to. And in fact, I was told there is also Myra point on this. If there is, it's all the better for us. So you are allowed now to talk about something that is passionate to you, but of course, given the academic backing and the academic research that they've got, rather than just firing away, emotionally or otherwise. Yeah? So this is one area, and we are also now talking about open source and also open access. So in other words, you don't have to have money to publish anymore. We are going to create a portal where you can publish without having to pay a single cent. In fact, that kind of a procedure for publication has been challenged in many parts of the world, particularly in Netherlands. Yeah? So we are trying to make public domain all the research that is public funded for the public good as such, rather than making it very expensive for people to acquire knowledge because of commercialization and so on and so forth. Yeah? But this is not complete until we are able to actually create an impact on the community around us. Our own community in the university and the community around us, and of course the community worldwide. And this is where the Sustainable Development Goal becomes an important platform, because everybody around the world has agreed on what the platforms looks like. So at the end of the day, there must be a kind of a connectivity between the two. How do you share this vision being an academic, and how do you share this vision being quote-unquote an activist in trying to move the community forward? How do you put this in a package so that both will benefit and as many people as benefit from this as possible, given the kind of work that we are supposed to do as far as university is concerned. So that is the other dimension. Not only organizing the university, but also organizing the curriculum and so on and so forth at the same time. The other thing is, how do you now begin to give more meaning to this garden of knowledge and virtue? I call it Garden and Knowledge and Virtue 2.0. We have got this garden of knowledge and virtue for a long time, but what does it mean to us? Yeah? What does it mean to the creatures around us? What does it mean to the birds and the bees and the frog? Are they enjoying this garden of knowledge and virtue, or are they being harassed? Yeah, because they are not humans and therefore we harass them. Yeah? And certainly I recognize most of you who have been working on this platform of the organic garden, edible garden, whatever you have, the IoT garden and so on and so forth. So much so that I think now we have got plenty to show. But plenty in a very fragmented way. How do you combine this to make a whole new meaning of what this garden of knowledge and virtue is concerned? Yeah? So there has been a discussion of how do you combine this, because different projects works on different emphasis, and that emphasis now could be combined to make a holistic idea of what a garden looks like. UNESCO talks about the Quranic garden, because the UNESCO says this is the only scripture that the word garden occurs more than 150 times in the Quran. So what does a garden mean to us in this particular context? And I think this is what we are trying to also arrive at when we talk about the garden 2.0. Yeah? Certainly this garden is not only just about plants, it's also about health at the same time. I think we have made it very clear. This is a non-smoking campus and certainly a non-drinking campus. I need to remind you that, because last semester I was told a couple of persons in some marhala had been caught drinking alcoholic drink in the mahala itself. So I need to remind you, we are talking about this garden not only in terms of its natural states, but also how they preserve in the context of health and also well-being at the same time. Yeah? And because of that, we hope there's another group of community that will flourish in this university. I know we're going to build a cat shelter. I hope it will be realized soon. But not only the cats. What about the squirrel? I mean, my house has been raided by squirrel off and on because they're looking for food. How do you look after them? The monkeys, yeah? The butterflies and the bees and all of these things. How do you now create a community of living within the campus? And this is part of sustainable development, that we do not talk about life only in the context of human person, but all creation of God, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is where the maqasid come into picture. So I hope we can now reconstruct how does a garden 2.0 looks like moving from 2020 onwards. To show how pristine our campus is, this is what happened. We were working on Saturday. Before I leave, I saw suddenly there's this cat sleeping on no less than the president's car. Yeah? And he or she, I'm not too sure, are really enjoying the nap. Look at that. Yeah? So I'm really happy to see this, and I call them quickly, please take this photograph. He's really enjoying his nap on the president's car. Alhamdulillah. I hope you nap at the right time anyway, but don't nap at the wrong time. Here you are. Yeah? And certainly we have now reconstruct our campus again. I think I would just like to remind you the Quran is back, and that Quran, I think, gives more meaning as far as the garden is concerned, as I mentioned about the Quranic garden when UNESCO mentioned it that way. Okay? Now, finally, we are talking about the zero carbon campus. I think I'm quite serious about this. The number of cars, the number of vehicles into the campus is almost, I think, unbearable. We have asked Kaed, Prof. Razak remembers it, by March they need to come a plan and how do you manage the number of vehicles coming and out of this campus. We need to maintain a level that is not, polluting the campus beyond what we are capable of. Yeah? So we want to create a kind of a garden that people can move around. People like Datuk Rahim can cycle. I think they're beginning the cycle on a Friday, cycling thing on a Friday. Yeah? And how we can do this in a more systematic way, giving the kind of a path for cyclists and all other people who are not driving the cars as such. Yeah? So finally, I hope this will be a campus where we'll see a lot more people exercising, enjoying the campus, talking to each other, and making this campus a lively campus in terms of not only the garden of knowledge, but certainly the virtue part of it. The other way to sustain the campus is about saving. All of you know that we are short of cash, but there are other ways of creating cash by saving it. Yeah? And certainly, it has to be a habit now that you need to switch off whatever that you don't use, and computers is one of them. Yeah? How do you switch off your computers? How do you switch off the fans? Yeah, as you walk to the mahala, particularly the boys, I cannot go into the ladies' mahala, but certainly you see the fan moving all the time when there's nobody there. And somebody tells me they switch it on when the semester is on, and they will switch it off when the semester is off. Otherwise, the switches has no function altogether. I think we need to realize that these are part of wastages that we need to start saving, right? So I hope you look into this very seriously, make it to a habit, then we can have a lot more saving in this particular context. Yeah? There's electricity, there's also water. Some of the water that's been dripping, and sometimes when we take our wudu, ablution, how do you use as minimum water as possible and recycle it if possible. These are the areas, inshallah, we're working on so that we can have more saving, so that we can use the saving quite more meaningfully in trying to build what the university needs moving forward. Yeah? But the challenge of my lifetime is how to do this. How to make our toilets as clean as possible. How do you bring the glow back, as it were. In the rector's office, this is one of the challenges. 2 officers have been assigned to make sure that we have got a template of what a good toilet, good clean toilet looks like. I think all of us can do this role. We are using these toilets very often, but we also need to exercise some responsibility as far as the toilet is concerned. So this is, again, a way of how to save. If you use it well, you probably can save a lot more than we think we could. Yeah? So these are just some of the ideas. There are many other things I think that we can think of in terms of trying to bring saving as far as the university is concerned, as part of, being transparent and being integrity in this particular respect. Last but not least, I talk about the peace room. The peace room, then I hope, and I've talked to Prof. Nobit on this, why can't we then make it into a system that actually can move on itself with its own dashboard, with people feeding in data, and finally that data will be then automatically transmitted throughout the world. So this is one ambition that I have. In other words, whatever is going on within this campus becomes a window to the world. The people will need to go just into the peace room and find out exactly what's going on, what is attractive to them, how much they can work with us as far as some of the projects that is concerned. Already now, we have got a request from a colleague in Holland to start a Rohingya school in that particular country. Yeah? So luckily, there are two of our colleagues here who come from Myanmar, who have volunteered their services, and I hope they are making this connection, advising them how to create a school for the Rohingyas in the Netherlands. And if the Netherlands can do it, why can't we do it in Malaysia? There are a lot of people here who are immigrants, who need help, who needs education, particularly at that age group. Why can't we build our own school for that matter? Yeah? And these are the areas that I think we hope we can develop as we move forward beyond the year 2020, and the Peace Room will be the place where we decide some of these things, moving internationally with other partners around the world. Right? So I hope by then, IIUM becomes a preferred, a recognized center for some of the activities, not just the academics, but also the community at the same time, working together across the board, across boundaries, and of course, across around the world with some of our world first, as it were. So this is the final goal that I have in mind for us moving 2020 and beyond. So what do we do with our rocket that I show earlier? Yeah? I think the times will come when we will launch it, and I'm about to launch it now. Yeah? We will then set ourselves into Mars. All right? You can see the logo of IIUM is already there. And Mars at that particular time will mean making a reality soon. Yeah? And I hope this reality will come sooner. Right? Given the experience we have for the last 18 months, I think this can come sooner the moment we get our act together. Yeah? The moment we leave our bickering aside. The moment we decide what to do together, inshallah, it will come sooner. Yeah? By then, we will have a deputy rector for interstellar travel. You can apply for the job. So if this is a motivation for you, mashallah, apply for the job. We will be in Mars very soon, inshallah. Yeah? So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, although it sounds comical, but deep down, I think we are able to do this. We are able to realize this in the shortest possible time. At least within the year 2020, we will have a lot more other things that we can do. I want to also mention already, there are many conferences being put forward to the university. One of it is what we call Vision 2077. Vision 2077 is how to project where the Islamic University or the Islamic Ummah is 50 years from now. We're going to have this conference, inshallah, before the year ends, to give you a very wide idea of where we are 50 years from now and how do you work towards it. That's one of the main conferences that we've got. There's a lot more that we will produce into an almanac before the end of the month, inshallah. Yeah? In terms of publication, we are looking at now 6 very seminal books that will change mindset, that will give new perspective, that will also put IIUM in a position as a reference university. 3 books I think is now about to be completed. One is on spirituality, Maqasid Asharia, and sustainable development. Yeah, that I think has been working with 20 authors or so. One book on Rahmatan Lil Alamin, we will then revise and reproduce again. Yeah. One book that's been submitted is what I really like it, called the 40 Hadith on Leading the Way. So every of that thing, Khalifah, Amanah, Iqra, and Rahmatan Lil Alamin, there are 10 Hadith attached to it. So in other words, when you talk about leading the way, there's now a reference source that you can look at, which is, I hope, a credible one, so that we can make sure that leading the way is not just an abstract idea, but something that we can work on. Yeah? There are 3 other books that we are working on. One is what we call Internationalizing University, Malaysia's Contribution to Bosnia. It's written by, I think, 17 alumni from Bosnia, learning from what they've got from IIUM. In the year 1992, we are celebrating, I think, the 40th anniversary in 2022. How do we actually learn from this group of people who have benefited education from IIUM? That book is going to be out, inshallah. There's another book we call The Essays on Sejahtera. What is Sejahtera from different perspectives, some different people writing it from a different dimension. The other one I cannot recall. But there are 6 seminal books that we will launch it in conjunction with what we call the World Book Capital that will be in April 22. Kuala Lumpur now is known as the World Book Capital under UNESCO sort of auspicious. There will be a book exhibition, a massive book exhibition, and we hope to launch this book then, plus another 100 titles of translation from different languages into either Bahasa Malaysia or English. I was told by the IIUM Press we have got now 50 titles have been working on to be translated into different, from different literatures into Bahasa Malaysia or English, and we're looking for 50 more. So if you got some title which is worthy of translation, pass it to us. If you want to volunteer to translate it, it's all the better. We've got budgets for it, and we want to make sure when the book capital was launched, we have got also some contribution to this endeavor being an academic institution as such. So there are many things that I can narrate to you, but time is not there. But there are ample room for you to work. And I would like to invite you once again to come to the university, volunteer your effort, volunteer your ideas, and volunteer whatever you could so that we can reach Mars sooner than we think it is. So I would like to end this by thanking all of you for taking this courage to move forward together and have arrived at where we are supposed to arrive, and inshallah we will move forward from now on. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Tan Sri, for the inspiring address and message. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, alumni are ambassadors of the International Islamic University Malaysia who could help IIUM in many ways, including advocating the mission of the university. Because the Alumni Relations Division strives to engage in beneficial lifetime like with the alumni. To be able to do that, the Alumni Relations Division should be able to reach out to alumni. For this reason, the division has developed the alumni portal, which is the portal will enable the alumni to update their data while keeping abreast with the news and development of the university and fellow alumni. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's focus on the screen for the launching of the IIUM Alumni Portal. The Alumni Relations Division seeks everyone's assistance to inform all the alumni that you are in touch with about the portal. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to respectfully invite the IIUM staff band for a performance by singing the song Tell Me Why, which is this song actually originally sang by Declan Galbraith, has elements of sustainable development goals. As the lyric says, tell me why does the tiger run? Why do we shoot the gun? Why we let the forest burn? Why do the dolphins cry? Can someone tell us why we let the ocean die? Please welcome Chitra Band to perform the Sing Tell Me Why, followed by IIUM song Leading the Way, which will be led by Brother Muhammad Ikhwan Shah bin Abdul Muttali from Office of Security Management, Gombak.
In my dream, children sing a song for love of every boy and girl. The sky is blue and fields are green, and laughter is the language of the world. Then I wake and all I see is a world full of people in need. And tell me why does it have to be like this? And tell me why is there something I have missed? And tell me why, 'cause I don't understand when so many need somebody. We don't give a helping hand. And tell me why. Every day I ask myself, what will I have to do to be a man? Do I have to stand and fight to prove to everybody who I am? Is that what my life is for? To waste it, a world full of war? And tell me why doesn't have to be like this? And tell me why is there something I have missed? And tell me why, 'cause I don't understand when so many need somebody. We don't give a helping hand. And tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me why. Just tell me why. And tell me why doesn't have to be like this. And tell me why is there something I have missed? And tell me why, 'cause I don't understand when so many need somebody. We don't give a helping hand. And tell me why. 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 Tell me Why? Thanks so much. Lead the way, light the future, share the wisdom to the spirit of Islam, revelation and reason. We shall excel, we shall prevail, merging faith and knowledge with the Khalifa. We will fulfill the amanah. Together we make the world a better place forever. Expand the culture of Iqra. IIUM is to realize the meaning of Ramadan lil Alamin. Together we make the world a better place forever. Expand the culture of Iqra. IIUM is to realize the meaning of mercy to all mankind, to all mankind.
Thank you. Please be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, we are now approaching the end of our programs this morning. I would therefore like to invite Ustaz Dr. Muhammad Puhzi bin Usub from Head of Training Unit Sentries to recite the dua. فليتفضل مأجورا.
وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم اجعل لقاءنا في هذا اليوم لقاء مباركا وجمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما. يا غفور يا رحيم. اللهم أنت ربنا لا إله إلا أنت خلقتنا ونحن عبادك ونحن على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعنا. نعوذ بك من شر ما صنعنا. نبوء لك بنعمتك علينا ونبوء لك بذنوبنا فاغفر لنا فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. O Allah, you are our Lord. None has the right to be worshipped except you. You created us and we are your servants, and we abide by your covenant and promise as best we can. We seek refuge in you from the evil which we have committed. We acknowledge your favor upon us, and we acknowledge our sins. So please forgive us, for verily none can forgive sins except you. Ya Dhal Jalali wal Ikram. Allahumma inna nas'aluka min al-khairi kullihi ajilihi wa ajilihi ma alimna minhu wa ma lam na'lam wa na'udhu bika min ash-sharri kullihi ajilihi wa ajilihi ma alimna minhu wa ma lam na'lam. O Allah, we ask you for all that is good in this world and the hereafter, what we know and what we do not know. O Allah, we seek refuge from you from all the evils in this world and in the hereafter, what we know and what we do not know. يا نافع يا ضار اللهم أحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. Ya Allah, grant us good outcome on all of our affairs and save us from the disgrace in this world and the punishment of the hereafter. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. تقبل الله.
آمين يا رب العالمين. جزاك الله خيرا كثيرا. الفاضل الأستاذ Dr. Muhammad Fauzi. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we leave the hall, on behalf of the organizer, I would like to thank Honorable Chancellor Rector, the University Management Committee members, and all IIUM staff for your presence here this morning. May this gathering invigorate us to work harder this year for the betterment of IIUM and the Ummah, inshallah. Wishing everyone a blessed year ahead, but I have one last announcement for all. There will be, from Kasatu, there will be a Madu Kululut produced by Kasatu, which is they have a few products. For example, honey of Madu Kululut, which we can get the special offer of 130 ringgit, face soap 20 ringgit, and inshallah multi-purpose detergent will be produced in the future. And if you have more information, please visit their booth behind there. And also we have SDG Administrators Team, Biodiversity IIUM Landscape with Edible Greens would like to welcome all staff to their booth. The team conducted mini exhibition on plants located at behind of this hall and selling edibles with a special price today, inshallah. All are welcome. I think that's all for today, everyone. I would like to thanks all. Jazakumullah khairan kathira. With that, wabillahi tawfiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. And thank you.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما